1. The British invasion continues. By 1966, the British invasion was in full swing, with groups like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and the Who dominating charts and influencing music trends globally. The Beatles released Revolver, a groundbreaking album that showcased their evolving musical styles, ranging from pop and rock to psychedelic. 2. Dylan goes electric. Bob Dylan, already a legendary folk artist, took a dramatic turn in 1966 with his double album Blonde on Blonde. This album solidified his transition from acoustic folk to electric rock and included iconic tracks like Just Like a Woman and Rainy Day Women No. 12 and 35. 3. Beach Boys release Pet Sounds. Regarded by many as one of the greatest albums of all time, the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds was released in May 1966. It showcased Brian Wilson's innovative songwriter and production techniques, setting new standards for studio recording. 4. The Monkees debut. Created for television, the Monkees made their debut this year. While the band was initially criticized for being a manufactured act, their catchy tunes like Last Train to Clarksville proved incredibly popular, and the group would go on to have substantial influence in pop culture. 5. Motown hits its stride. The Motown sound was an essential part of the 1960s musical landscape, and 1966 saw hits from its biggest stars. The Supremes, Stevie Wonder, and The Temptations all released chart-topping singles, showcasing Motown's dominance in the soul and R&B genres. 6. Jimi Hendrix emerges. By the end of 1966, Jimi Hendrix had formed the Jimi Hendrix Experience in London and began making waves with his innovative guitar techniques and performances. This year marked the beginning of his rapid ascent to rock legend status. 7. Birth of psychedelia. The psychedelic rock movement began gaining traction in 1966. Bands like the 13th Floor Elevators and the Grateful Dead started to explore this new sound, characterized by distorted guitars, extended jams, and experimental recording techniques. 8. The first acid test. Promoted by Ken Kesey and his Merry Pranksters, the first acid test took place in San Francisco, involving live performances from bands like the Grateful Dead and the consumption of LSD. It was a hallmark event for the counterculture and psychedelic movement. 9. Sinatra's Strangers in the Night. Frank Sinatra's Strangers in the Night became one of his most iconic songs, showcasing that, even in an era dominated by rock and roll, there was still a significant audience for traditional pop and crooners. 10. The formation of Cream. Eric Clapton, Jack Bruce, and Ginger Baker formed the power trio Cream in 1966. Their fusion of blues, rock, and jazz paved the way for future rock bands and set the stage for their monumental albums in the coming years. 11. Nina Simone's Wild is the Wind. Nina Simone, the legendary jazz and soul singer, released the emotive album Wild is the Wind. Her rendition of the title track is particularly celebrated and showcases her unparalleled vocal prowess. 12. Death of Bobby Fuller. Bobby Fuller, known for I Fought the Law with the Bobby Fuller 4, tragically died in mysterious circumstances at the age of 23. His death has remained a topic of speculation and intrigue in the music world. 13. The Yardbirds' evolution. 1966 was a transformative year for the Yardbirds. Jeff Beck was pushing the band into more experimental directions, and by the end of the year, Jimmy Page would join, setting the stage for the band's final evolution into Led Zeppelin. 14. Simon and Garfunkel's Sounds of Silence. Building on the success of their title track The Sound of Silence, Simon and Garfunkel released an album of the same name, solidifying their place as one of the era's most influential folk rock duos. 15. World tours and controversies. The Beatles embarked on their final world tour in 1966. However, it was fraught with controversy, especially after John Lennon's remark that the Beatles were more popular than Jesus. This led to protests and record burnings, particularly in the southern United States. These events and releases, among many others, made 1966 a pivotal year in the history of music, setting the stage for many of the major musical developments of the late 1960s and early 1970s.